like to introduce our first speaker, Gurmeet. Gurmeet is a friend of mine. We had our desk in the PhD section back to back, so we got to know each other a little bit. Gurmeet has a particularly interesting subject this afternoon titled An Extended COMB Model of Consumer Behaviour Leading to Increased Plant-Based and Reduced Meat-Based Diets, an Australian study. So over to you, Gurmeet. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks a lot. So I'll share my screen first. If you can see the acknowledgement of the country. Can you see?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay.
It's
That's
good.
great. So hello, everyone. My name is Gurmeet Matharu, and I'm a PhD candidate from Lismore, but I live on Gold Coast, so I come to this campus often. So first of all, I'll respectfully acknowledge the Yugambeh people, the traditional owners on the land on which we meet, and pay my respect to the elders past and present, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. So the title of my presentation is An Extended Combi Model of Consumer Behavior Leading to Increased Plant-Based and Reduced Meat-Based Diets, an Australian study. It keeps on changing. It's the title of my PhD. So for now, it is this one. The structure of my presentation is background, research problem, research questions, contributions of the study, lit review, gaps in the literature, conceptual framework, and methodology. Before going further, can I ask you, what is plant-based food? You can use your chat window and write, what do you think about plant-based food? What comes into your mind first when you think about plant-based food? How can I see chat myself? Or you can use your annotate function as well. If you like, you can write on this page. Eco-friendly, Dennis said salads and vegetables. Nicola says yum. Vajira says rice, yeah. Home-baked bread, thanks Tobias. Okay, so we basically have a little bit idea what is plant-based foods. So we are quite aware about these foods. Thanks so much. Okay, so we can go further. So here is the proper definition of plant-based food. Foods derived from plants, including whole grains, cereals, legumes, beans, peas, fruits, and veggies. And what is meat-based food? So the foods which are derived from animals, including red and white meat, fish, seafood, poultry, dairy, and eggs. Our main focus is on meat-based and plant-based foods. So here we are comparing meat-based and plant-based food. Meat-based and plant-based foods are very different in terms of their nature, their nutritional characteristics, dietary uses, aspects in consumption and production. We will look at these aspects one by one. So in terms of their nutritional characteristics, meat-based food is a source of protein, amino acids, iron, calcium, zinc, but these foods have high cholesterol and fatty acids. On the other hand, plant-based food has many nutritional characteristics such as iron, vitamin B12, calcium, vitamin D, zinc, high in fiber, have low blood pressure. But it might lead to decreased intake of iron. In terms of dietary uses, meat-based food help manage iron deficiency and low red blood count, but causes oral cancer. On the other hand, plant-based food prevent and treats and reverses many diseases, such as many types of cancers, such as gastric, liver, breast, pancreatic, etc. And moreover, it extends the healthy life expectancy. In terms of other aspects of consumption, meat-based food expresses masculinity, strength, social status, prosperity, part of family traditions and culture. And it is becoming cheaper in some countries. But it creates anxiety around, because people know that it might lead to some chronic diseases. So they increases their anxiety. On the other hand, plant-based food is more pocket friendly and leads to economic savings. Apart from health, meat-based food causes environmental degradation, produces greenhouse gases. However, plant-based food reduces greenhouse gases and conserves water and energy resources. So on the whole, plant-based food has more nutritional characteristics, dietary uses, low environmental degradation than meat-based food. There are many systematic literature reviews which have synthesized the growing literature around meat-based and plant-based foods. First, we talk about Grassa 2019, which reviewed 110 articles around meat-reduced and plant-based diets. The authors found that the literature in this area is totally scattered and there is no use of theoretical framework. They also stated that there is some missing information to improve our ability regarding transitioning of diets. So they recommended to utilize 3 domains of COM, which is capability, opportunity, and motivation. In another systematic literature review, Stoll, Kleeman, and Skim 2017, they reviewed 155 articles and they developed a model of factors which influence meat eating behavior. And this model has broadly personal, social, and external factors. In another very recent literature review, Hargis et al. 2020, which assessed 22 empirical studies, and they basically criticized the previous study, the Stoll, Kleeman, and Skim 2017, and they advised to include the directions between the factors, and advised to include some important factors which were absent in the previous model, such as intentions and emotions. And there is another very recent systematic literature review, Benningston and Kunz 2020, which analyzed 21 empirical studies on meat paradox. So what is meat paradox? Which meat eaters face when they eat meat, but feeling discomfort while eating meat. So this literature review found that women, people from Western countries, and particularly young people, they experience this kind of dissociation. So the authors recommended to measure the effects of dissociation on behavior. After these systematic literature reviews, there is one empirical study which found that there is some difference between vegetarians, vegans, and meat eaters towards 3 factors such as health, animal welfare, and environment. However, I found that there is no study which investigated the differences between more refined categories of consumers such as lacto-vegetarian, lacto-ovo, flexitarians, vegans, vegetarians, semi-vegetarians. So here comes the question, why I choose Australian context. There are many reasons. Australia is on the 2nd place in meat consumption in the world after Argentina. Here people allocate 40% of their spending on meat. It is on the 6th highest consumption for beef. It is one of the world's highest per capita consumption for lamb. The proportion of obese Australians in the population is growing, up from 63.4% in 2014-15 to 67% in 2017. 66% of the greenhouse gases in Australia is produced by enteric fermentation of meat, ruminant meat, that is beef. Animal agriculture is responsible for 16% greenhouse gases, 54% land use, and 52% of freshwater use. Ironically, this anxiety is not reflected in Australian consumers' behavior. Very few Australians are switching from animal-based diet to a plant-based diet. There are only 2.5 million, which is around 11 to 12% fully vegetarian people in Australia in 2018. So the research question here arises is, how does capability, motivation, and opportunity influence consumer behavior towards plant-based food, and what is the role of psychological discomfort in Australian context? And there are 3 research questions. How does capability, opportunity, and motivation influence behavior in the Combi model in the context of plant-based food? how does psychological discomfort affect the consumer's behavior, and how these combi domains influence consumer behavior towards plant-based foods across different categories, such as omnivorous, flexitarian, vegetarians, lacto-ovo, lacto-vegetarian, ovo-vegetarian, and vegans. If you talk about the contributions of the study, in regards to theoretical contribution, it extends the present literature by providing an understanding of the behavior of Australian consumers towards plant-based foods, utilizing the comprehensive model combining combi model and cognitive dissonance theory. This research will check the moderating role of psychological discomfort in this area. The research will provide a profile of Australian plant-based food buyers by dividing them into different categories, as I discussed before. In regards to theoretical contributions, practical contributions, this research will provide explanations about the behaviors of consumers, which may help plant-based food businesses in Australia in designing and planning their marketing strategies. This will help them in targeting the right consumers for their products. This, they can use the social media platforms, as this proves to be a successful tool in attracting Australian consumers. Moreover, these companies need to inform the buyers about the health and environmental advantages on product packaging, because consumers still find it hard to compare and select between different alternatives of these products. The study of transitioning consumers toward meat-reduced and more plant-based diets requires an understanding of consumer behavior, particularly sustainable consumer behavior. The adopting and meat-reduced and plant-based diet may be regarded as a form of sustainable consumer behavior. And here is the definition, which is set of thoughtful and actual actions which result in the protection of environment for existing as well as upcoming generations. Scholars have explored different theories and models to understand the sustainable consumer behavior, and they have utilized theory of planned behavior, theory of reasoned action, and health belief model. And these theories have been utilized extensively, applied in almost all the areas. Hence, there is a need to look at the consumer's behavior from a different theoretical framework. Moreover, these models and theories did not address the important roles of various factors such as habit, intentions, emotions, associative learning, self-monitoring, etc. So this is the behavior change wheel. In the center, there is a combi model, and outside of this, there is a 14 theoretical domains framework, domains of, and then we have intervention functions in red, and then we have a policy categories. But the focus of this research is particularly on combi model, and as I'm studying these 14 domains of theoretical domains framework, which is under the capability, opportunity, and motivation. So the combi model indicates that at any point of time, a certain behavior will happen only when an individual has the capability and opportunity to involve in that behavior, and that individual is also motivated to perform that behavior than other behaviors. So in the combi model, there are the three situations of behavior, which is capability, opportunity, and motivation. As I indicated in the background, Bennington et al. 2020, they recommended to measure the effects of dissociation on behavior as meat eaters experience some kind of discomfort while eating meat. These effects are captured in cognitive dissonance theory. According to this theory, some situations, including different behaviors, opinions, and attitudes, produce a state of psychological discomfort, and it is under-researched in this area. So using keywords such as vegan, vegetarian, plant-based food, meat substitute, meat reduced. I did a literature search and found 223 studies from Web of Science and 24 from Google Scholar. Then I excluded some articles as per exclusion criteria and ended up with 55 studies. After analyzing these articles, I found that 33 studies have not used any theoretical model. And moreover, most of the studies studied only motivation variables and ignored the capability and opportunity variables. Moreover, these combi domains have not studied together into one study. So there are the 4 main gaps, which I discussed before. And this is the conceptual model of this research. So you can see there are 3 sub-dimensions of capability, which is skills, knowledge, and behavioral regulation, which influences capability. Then we have 7 sub-dimensions of motivation: self-identity, optimism, intentions, beliefs about consequences, beliefs about capabilities, emotions, reinforcement, which influences motivation. And we have 2 sub-dimensions in opportunity domain: environmental context and resources, and social influences. After that, these capability, opportunity, and motivation influences behavior. Moreover, these capability and opportunity also influences motivation as well. And then along with this, we have a psychological discomfort, which gives a moderating effect on the relationship between combi domains. That is on capability and behavior, motivation and behavior, and opportunity and behavior. So I proposed first in my COC that I will do quantitative study, only online survey through questionnaires. But in my COC, my panel members advised me to do mixed methods, and they advised me to do pilot study among 70 to 80 Australians and then test the model first. And then they asked me to include focus groups or interviews. So I'm still in the stage of finalizing what I'm going to do in data collection. So hopefully I will do focus groups and online survey through questionnaires. My survey is almost ready with my 14 measures, and there are 14 constructs, which are almost like 4 items each. And as a rule of thumb, there should be like 10, as a rule of thumb, there should be 10 times more than the number of items. So my target sample size is 560. I have not planned for focus groups yet, but I think there will be 2 focus groups, which I'm going to do. So, so I would like to acknowledge and thank to my supervisors, Dr. Tanya Mondehate and Dr. Golem Sober. And here it is. If you want to know about more, you can contact me. This is my email address. I'm on time, Dennis?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Gurmeet. That was for me personally, I don't know about the audience, but for me, that was a really fascinating presentation.
Thank you.
A lot of useful, practical information for me. Would you be able just to end your screen sharing now?
Stop, yeah.
Yep, thank you. Great. We can see you there now. So we'll go to our question and answer session. Does anybody have, if you'd like to turn your mics on, does anyone have any questions of Gurmeet? I have a couple. I might just start things if that's okay. Gurmeet, you, when you compared meat-based diets and plant-based diets, it seemed to me you listed many more advantages from plant-based diets. Forgive me if I miss this, but in terms of disadvantages of plant-based diets, what are they in brief? For example, a difficulty in getting enough vitamin B12.
Yeah, there is lack of iron. So you need to, if you are eating plant-based diets, then then it is recommended to have a supplement, iron supplements. So there are some, but I found I have like studied so many articles, and I found that they are far better than meat-based diets, because they are reversing, they are treating many chronic diseases. So
Yeah.
basically, if you allow me to share my document,
Please.
so I can, so in my document, I basically created a big table in the beginning of the comparison between meat-based and plant-based diets. And so you can see here. So this table I created, and I'm definitely, I might not including the more disadvantages of plant-based foods, but seriously, I didn't find much.
Mm,
Yeah,
very,
sorry. Yeah, sorry for the interrupt. I thought that Gurmeet, we can, we don't have a supplement for that purpose. We can use some, the curry leaves and
Yeah,
broccoli.
definitely. If you have a right diet,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a balanced diet, if you're not eating balanced diet, then you need to have a supplement. Like I'm vegetarian, I'm not having any supplements.
Yeah.
But some people, those who are complete plant-based diet, so they are saying that they take some supplements to increase their iron, or like my daughter has a deficiency of iron. She's vegetarian, and doctor advised her to take some supplements, but I'm not sure whether it increased her iron level or not. So, but she's fine. She don't have
Yeah.
any problem with her health.
Yeah.
She's just taking supplements because doctor advised, but sometimes I think I should stop that because she's fine. She don't have any problems.
The women generally have iron deficiency.
Yeah. So yeah, women and especially young women, they generally have iron deficiency. So you don't need to have supplements if you have a balanced diet. If you eat spinach and green leafy vegetables, and there are lots of other foods which you can have, and lentils, beans, chickpeas, which is good in iron. So you don't need that.
and vitamin B12.
Yeah, that is iron. So there are many foods which is rich in iron,
Yes.
and not only meat.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I'll stop sharing.
Does anybody have any other questions? I have one more question if no one else does. Gurmeet, we hear about the paleo diet, which seems to be the opposite of the plant-based diet.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not familiar with. So
Paleo
can you?
diet is a diet that a lot of people, there are lots of fads in nutrition, as you'll know better than I do. It's my a lot of people who are very interested in particularly gym work are going by the argument that in the Paleolithic age, people mainly ate meat because they didn't grow grains. And so a lot of people who are working in working out a lot in that simply live on pretty much meat. It would seem to me from the information you presented that would be a risky diet.
Yeah, definitely. So you mean paleo diet is risky?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. If you eat all the time, you eat meat. I watched some movies and some documentaries, and it's clearly shown that it is not good for your health, for your heart, for your liver. And if you are clearly, like you mentioned, that paleo diet, it's completely on meat. So how they get their fiber things?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So there is no fiber. So if you eat all time, if you eat meat, it will, because I saw some documentaries and they clearly shown and tested and on people, and they found that it is blocking your arteries because it's full of fat, it's full of cholesterol. So they recommended to have some plants or vegetables or fruits.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how it works. So, and it's proven that I saw one documentary about vegan athletes. It's a Game Changers. Have you seen that? The Game Changers.
No.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and just watch it. The Game Changers. It's very good, and they have in that documentaries or movie that they proven that that it's not necessary to be athlete on meat diet, and it's proven that people who are on plant-based diet, they are better athletes. They have champions in their fields.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just it's incredible, and they checked in that movie that they clearly explain with like there are doctors, and they clearly mention what happening when you eat meat and when you're eating plant-based.
Okay,
To
thank
your
you so much.
bodies.
Very, very interesting presentation. Fascinating. And thank you for
Thank you, Dennis.
your answers also. Thank you.